The Revolutionary War, today's page of notes. Going to look at kind of the beginning. We've already talked about the battles of Lexington and Concord and Bunker Hill. Now moving on into the war a little bit more. Early defeats. The British capture all major colonial cities: New York, Philadelphia, Boston, and Charleston, which are all the colonial port cities, as well as your largest financial hubs. This is to be expected. Think about it. The British military is the strongest military in the world at this point in time. They've fought on 5 continents and never been defeated. The colonial military has been together for 6 months. So the expertise of the soldiers, of the British soldiers versus the American soldiers, the British soldiers greatly outnumber the colonial soldiers. So this is to be expected early on. Washington's army is in retreat. Many desert, basically just because of the sheer force of the British military. It's not quite what they thought it was going to be. Washington does have a few victories that help keep morale up. One of these is December the 25th, Christmas Day, 1776, the Battle of Trenton. Washington plans a surprise attack on the British and the Hessian soldiers in Trenton. On your left here, you see the painting of Washington and the soldiers crossing the Delaware River. He knows that the British soldiers will be celebrating the night before. They'll probably be drunk, hungover, in their beds asleep. Nobody's going to cross this frozen river in the middle of the winter, but he crosses the Delaware River, marches into Trenton, and has a overwhelming victory at the Battle of Trenton. He uses this morale boost to get soldiers to re-enlist in the military in January, and comes up with another big victory at the Battle of Princeton in January the following month. The turning point of the war, big that we get this point here, is the Battle of Saratoga. It is the turning point of the war for a couple of reasons. One, it kept the British near the coastline, which is going to be big at the end of the war when they take shelter in a fort in Yorktown, Virginia, against the coastline. This battle kept them near the coastline, which is where the French Navy is going to keep them from being able to board ships and sneak away. So it also proves to the French that we are a powerful player and can win this war against the British. So the French come in on our side, the side of the colonies. That is why this is the turning point of the war. It keeps the British near the coastline and makes the French decide to come into the war on our side as our ally. Valley Forge is where Washington's army took camp during the winter of 1777 and 8. Many soldiers die of cold and starvation and disease as well. The Congress struggles to gain supplies for the army. Think about this. We're not even a country yet, much less have a government in place. So coming up with money for supplies, even the simplest things as boots, clothing, food, is a struggle for the government or the Congress of the colonies to come up with. So we are definitely behind the 8 ball versus the British as far as soldiers, supplies, everything you can imagine. Civilian life, shortage of goods, because everything that can be given is going to the soldiers. Women take over the work of men because majority of your men are gone to the war. Two military leaders here that help the colonial army. One is Frederick von Steuben, a Prussian officer who trained Patriot soldiers, and Marquis de Lafayette led a volunteer army from France. Lafayette is the guy that they are portraying in the Patriot that we're watching, the French guy in the blue suit. Okay, not a whole lot in today's page of notes. Let's just make sure that we understand that Saratoga is the turning point of the war. Mainly because the French see us as a player and decide to come in on our side of the war. This gives us a lot more manpower, ships, the French Navy, gives us what we need to get over the hump and defeat the British.